Go.
Oh, my goodness. You're live. You're locked in live with Drew Pearson, the OG, the original 88. Boy, you're looking good. I like the cap. I mean, you are ready to roll. Drew, welcome in to the Mosley Show on the Rogue Media Network. We are excited to have you. How are things going today?
Things are going great. Doing you, then getting ready to go do a meeting after this, and nice and hot here in this part of Texas. So trying to stay as cool as possible. And for an original 88, that's not that hard to do. We stay cool.
What do you think about these new glasses I'm trying out, Drew? You think this is a more knowledgeable looking Mosley? Do you find yourself thinking that maybe I'll ask questions with more depth with the glasses? I'm more comfortable usually in my sunglasses. Or do you think maybe this is a good look for me?
It's a different look, but it'll work, man. It's a good thing you're behind the mic. Maybe some people can't see it.
Oh, Drew was
let's get down to business.
Member of the media. Okay, all right, enough. Hey, Drew, what was the this Micah Parsons thing made me think about something. What was the ugliest player holdout or negotiation you ever witnessed with Tex, with the Cowboys GM Tex Schramm? I know there was a knockdown drag out with Leroy, but that was probably fairly, man, that might have even predated you. Was there any that really comes to mind? And do you remember having some tough ones with Tex back in the day?
I think when I came in as a rookie in '73, Bob Lilly was holding out. Bob had heard that Alan Page up in Minnesota was making about $80,000. And I think Bob at that point was maxing out at $50,000. So he was holding out to try to match that salary. And he was pretty serious about it. And the Cowboys finally worked it out with him. But he threatened through training camp. We did that a little different when we threatened holdouts, because I threatened one just before my last year in the league, actually. But what I mean by different, we went to camp, all right? We know this is our job, all right? We could be talking this business and trying to get as much money as possible, but we still needed to get ready for the season, all right? And so when I was holding out, when Bob was holding out, he made every practice. He was there. He showed what the Cowboys would miss if he wasn't there. And so they eventually worked that contract out. And I made every practice, ran every route, ran every drill, meeting and everything, talked all that noise, all during training camp, that they don't do my contract, I'm not going to play, and all this kind of stuff. And then we get back to Dallas, and I'm in the meeting room, and there's a knock on the door. It's Tex Schramm. He says, "Pearson, come here." I go outside to the weight area. He says, "You want to get this deal done?" I said, "Yes, sir." I go back to the meeting room that night before dinner. The deal was done. But the difference is I showed them what they would miss if I wasn't there. I put more pressure on them, but that's all we had back then. And in Parsons' case, he's pretty much in that same boat because we were always under contract with them. What were we going to do? We had to play for them or nobody unless they decided to trade us. So with Parsons' deal, he's pretty much in the same boat because he still has a year on his current contract. And so the Cowboys really don't have to do anything. And you tell me Parsons he's going to waste a year and not play and then still expect to get that money down the road after sitting out a year? It don't work that way. So he's got to work it out. I'm not trying to get in his pockets.
Yeah.
He's got to do what he's got to do. But at the same time, standing around watching the team practice, you're not getting ready when the time comes for you to step on the field. When the time came, when that deal was done, I was ready to play. Butch Johnson, he stayed behind me. Okay. He stayed behind me. Yeah, he thought he was going to start. He thought he was going to start that year, but no, he stayed behind me. So.
Why do you think? I mean, the strategy of waiting until the very end. They've done it with Dak, did it with CD. Now I've done it with Micah, and this thing has gotten a little uglier than the others. This thing seemingly did it with Zeke, quite honestly. Like it's a strange strategy. In this case, it's Micah has indicated he wanted to get a deal done. And I guess Jerry thought he had gotten a deal done with him in person. You've dealt with agents. You've had agents over the years. This one has been a little more, I guess you would say, acrimonious than some of the other ones I've seen. Do those things leave scars, Drew? Like when you have a big battle like that, whether it be Bob, Leroy, any of those guys over the years, is it hard to get past? It seemingly this Micah's going to have a hard time getting past this. It feels like to me.
Well, he might personally, but as far as the team is concerned, we don't have any problem. They understand your life, and they support you pretty much, and they say you got to do what you got to do. But what I've been saying all along with Micah, don't bring that into the locker room. We still got to get ready for the season. We need to be talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commodores, Redskins, whatever they are. We still need to be talking about them. They're not talking about contracts and stuff like that. They're talking about beating the Dallas Cowboys. So don't bring that. All I can say is take care of your business, whatever it takes. I don't know how those negotiations go nowadays. I only say I agree with you. It is strange that it's happening again with the Dallas Cowboys, and you don't see this happening around the league, Philadelphia doesn't have these issues. The Commodores, the Commanders, they don't have these issues. I don't see other teams having this. They signed their top players, and they signed them to deals where even when their contracts run out, or apparently getting ready to run out, they sign them to an extension before they do run out. And so they lock up these players for longer term. And so anyway, just what I only worry about with my deal, I did not want to be a locker room lawyer. I did not want to take my case to the locker room and have everybody feel sorry for me. And I'm telling you, they're holding me out and all that kind of stuff. I knew the rest of the team had to get prepared. They didn't care about Drew. Yeah, they wanted Drew to get the best deal. And these teammates want Micah to get the best deal. But don't bring that into here because we still got to get ready to play. I was at the facility yesterday. These boys are working hard, Micah's standing around hanging out. These guys are getting ready to play. So don't bring your plight into what these guys are trying to accomplish now by getting ready and prepared for the upcoming season.
Drew, did you get an up-close look at George Pickens and the addition of him across from CD? You had some great, you were the guy and Michael was the guy after you, but y'all had great complimentary, Michael had Alvin, you had Butch and others and Renfro. Tell me about Pickens, what you've been able to gather, and then getting to kind of see him in person. He's known for tracking the ball great, known for running those fades and those deep balls and tracking the ball. What do you think this could bring to the Cowboys, this trade they made to bring him in and have two really frontline wide receivers?
Well, they certainly needed that because that's the way to go in the NFL. Just about every team has two quality receivers. That's why the Commanders went and got Deebo Samuels this offseason to go with McLaurin out there. McLaurin's a bad man. All right, he's the next guy that's going to step up in that upper echelon of receivers in the NFL. But Pickens' addition, I don't know much about him. I know he had his issues with Mike Tomlin, but Tomlin's a pretty forceful guy. A lot of guys probably don't get along with Mike Tomlin because of his ways and discipline and all that he tries to instill or enact on players. But what I did see in him yesterday out there is his size. All right, the guy's got good size, and that's a good combination to go with CD. And he can bring in the talent. I haven't studied him that much or read much about him as far as his stats, yards per catch, and that type of thing. But I do know we needed somebody over there. We tried it with Brandon Cook. Okay, you caught more passes than Brandon Cook, Mike. My goodness, he didn't do anything. Well, and so we tried it with them. But CD sustained all that, the double coverages, the double hits, and all those kind of things that he was getting because he was double covered. And the man that the defenses were trying to stop in the passing game was CD Lamb. And look at the success he still had with that type of attention. So you got somebody over there on the other side now that can take some of that attention away and be a threat, along with Ferguson at tight end and hopefully a healthy Dak doing his thing. A little play action. Miles Sanders back there. He did enough damage to us when he was with the Eagles. So maybe he's ready to turn that around and now do some damage against the Eagles. But I like Pickens. I like the move. And let's see how it plays out.
Are you watching the Jerry Netflix documentary? And did you see episode 1 where we got to see some highlights of you? And it was Michael Irvin talking about how his father had always referred to you just simply as Clutch. And you were his favorite player. And I thought that was really neat because then, of course, Michael got number 88. And then the legacy, has continued on with Dez and CD, the 88 club. But are you watching this? And was that kind of a neat moment to as they were talking about the early days of Jerry, that Michael was so excited to come into the league and play where you had played?
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I heard about that. I'm not a movie guy. I saw some of the video, the trailers, and all that kind of stuff. And all I saw was Michael number 88 catching balls. I didn't see myself at all in there. But I did hear that Michael had those great comments about me and all that, and I appreciate that. And Michael and I have always had a very respectful relationship. I'm the one that first greeted him when he first came to Dallas as a draft pick. Scott Murray, I was working for Channel 5. Scott Murray sent me out there to the airport as an assignment to get the interview, the first one to get the interview when Michael came off the airplane. And, back in the day, Mose, you can go up to the gate with the camera and everything. You didn't have to go through no security or nothing like that. So, I'm right at the gate when Michael came off. Of course, he's flying first class. He's one of the first ones to get off. And, he kind of recognized me, which surprised me. But I definitely recognized him. And then, Michael did the thing that he always does. He still does today when he sees me. He hugs me, kisses me, puts all his slobber on me, and all this kind of stuff. And it's all love. It's all love, And so, first thing I asked Michael, welcome to the Dallas Cowboys and all that. He said, "Whoa, Drew, great to meet you and all this. I can't believe you're here. But, yeah, they want me to wear number 88. Is it okay?" I said, "Well, Michael, first of all, it's not my number. Second of all, if you do wear it, don't do what I did in it. Do more than that." And that's exactly what Michael Irvin did. He did more than that, and now we got a legacy going. Now we got something going. And now, Jerry, if he could pick draft picks, like he picks 88s, we'd be in the Super Bowl every year. He could pick some 88s. Think about it. All right? Dez didn't have the team around him. He didn't have the defense. Think of the coaches Dez had when he was coming through and all that. And still, the Cowboys all-time touchdown receiving leader, more than 2 Hall of Famers or 3 Hall of Famers, when you put myself in there. But so Dez had it, and then, he did his thing, and then, of course, CD's doing his thing. So, but I like Pickens there. You need that double threat on the outside, and now we got it. And now the key is to keep them both healthy and productive.
What was the level of hatred for Jerry? You were in the media, but you had that reverential type or that huge respect for Coach Landry. I mean, just even some of that footage of watching him clean out his office, it brought back all those memories. And I think people that weren't of a certain age don't understand just how hated Jerry was in those early days. You had to be somewhat objective because you're doing, like you said, stuff in the media, but you're a human being. What was your immediate reaction to Jerry making that decision to go fire Coach Landry? And did it take you a while to accept and embrace Jerry, or were you all able to find common ground fairly early in his time with the Cowboys?
Well, we're going way back to that deal. That's so far back, 89. I was, 20 years younger. But in that deal, I never criticized Jerry. I never blamed Jerry Jones for the way this whole thing was handled. I blamed the previous ownership. They were the ones that Landry was under contract to. They were the ones that Landry was working for, the Bankstons and whoever they were then. And they were the ones that should have let Coach Landry know that they were negotiating with Mr. Jones, and there was a possible opportunity that he was going to take advantage of and become owner of the Dallas Cowboys. If they would have let Coach Landry know that, Coach Landry would have understood all that. Coach Landry understood the business of football better than anybody because he's the one that had to cut players, all right? And it broke his heart in a lot of cases to let people go that he knew, players go that he knew were good people. So, I never blamed Jerry Jones for that. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was working for Channel 5 at that time, and I supported him. How do you fire Tom Landry? Okay? I mean, the previous ownership, Bum Bright, dumped that into Jerry Jones's lap. That should have been Bum Bright's responsibility. He knows as a businessman, he knows how that protocol goes. When your employee is going to be let go because you're bringing in new ownership, he knows how that goes. He's not a dumb businessman. He didn't make his millions being, making bad decisions. He understood that, but he left that to Jerry Jones. And Jerry, of course, he's now owner of the Dallas Cowboys. He's excited. He don't know how to handle this. This is the legendary Tom Landry. He handled it the best he knew how at that time. Sure, he had regrets later, of course, but he handled it the best he knew at that time. And I have so much respect for Jerry Jones. I don't care if they haven't won in 30 years or whatever, but he has won 3. He's a Hall-of-Famer. I respect him on that level. And from where you hear that doorbell? That's Amazon.
Go get the package if you need. Go get the package if you need to.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's not perishable, so we're good. But anyway, I just think the way it was handled and all the blame was put on Jerry Jones, and then the fans turned on him and all that. But now he got the fans back because he won championships. But then he got into that rift with Jimmy Johnson and brought in Barry Switzer. And then, of course, after that, things have been going downhill or staying status quo. Let me put it like that.
It's wild that the triplets had that success and y'all basically had your own version of the triplets. I mean, it's amazing that you go from unbelievable quarterback, receiver, and running back with you and Roger and Tony, and then they go into the 90s and I mean, it's wild to, and I know some of those people were retiring at different times and everything, but it's just kind of unbelievable. Like when they drafted Troy, and then of course Emmett showed up. Like you were in the media and all. Did you immediately like okay when the Herschel thing went down, because that's another thing that's in the documentary big time. Did you immediately think like, what are you doing, or did you understand that? Go ahead, Drew.
Hold on.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
I got to wrap up because I got a meeting at 3 I got to get to. Hold on.
It is the Matt Mosley Show. Drew Pearson, Pro Football Hall of Famer, having something delivered to his house here. Amazon.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'm on the radio.
Amazon has stopped by.
No, it wasn't Amazon. It was my landscaper.
Oh, the landscaper. Okay.
Yeah, okay. He's worried about ice. I'm only kidding.
Ice. All right, last thing, and I know you need to get going, and I love having you on. The last night, I think a lot of former Cowboys got together, and like you said, you were out at that practice. I mean, how cool is that? And what are those conversations like, Drew? Do you end up just kind of reminiscing? Are you talking about the current team? And like, was there anybody that you got to see that you hadn't seen in a long time that like meant that really that it was just awesome to see again? What was that like, having some of the players back together?
No, it's pretty cool, but Coach Schottenheimer has made a conscientious effort to bridge this gap, to bring the legends into the fold, so to speak, and bring us around. We've been through OTAs. We've had other things. He invites us out to when they're out in Thousand Oaks, when they're out in Oxnard. Mm-hmm. He invited us to come out anytime to watch practice and all that kind of stuff. So he's making a conscious effort, and we appreciate that. It's about time, because we feel like former players, we are a resource, for the Cowboys. We can lend some expertise, some knowledge to these current guys when they come up and speak to us. They heard of Drew Pearson, but they never met Drew Pearson. So now they met Drew Pearson, and Drew Pearson can expound some of that knowledge. So it was good to see, but a little disappointed that not more of my group was not there. More of the 90s group was there, and it was good to see those guys and hang with them, Brady James and, of course, Charles Haley and guys like that. But some of my group, Timmy Newsom and Everson Walls, were there. But I just appreciate them making the effort. And a lot of guys, once they hear about it, the other legends that didn't show up, once they hear about it and how cool it was, when they do it again, I guarantee you, they'll show up. From what I heard, 35 legends, former Cowboys, showed up for the event. And again, most of us were all waiting for an opportunity to be around the team and feel like we are part of something. Was
there anybody like was there an unpredictable type personality that you played with? Anything close to Haley, like Hollywood or anybody? I'm trying to think back. Was there anybody that like had that personality where you never knew like what was going to happen? I don't think the Manster was like that. Cliff and Charlie were great personalities, but they weren't unpredictable. There was nobody really like Haley. Yeah.
No, we were all disciplined. We were all too afraid. If we were like that, we weren't like that in the locker room. We weren't like that around the team. We were all too afraid. And that's the kind of discipline you have to have and respect for your head coach that you have to be successful back then in the NFL. And I guarantee you, if you don't have that now in the NFL, you're not going to win. And I know Andy Reid, a big part of his success up there in Kansas City is the respect those players had for him. And, when he says jump, they ask him how high. How high should we jump? And so you have to have that kind of respect, and that's the kind of respect we had for Coach Landry. And hopefully these guys will have that same kind of respect for Schottenheimer.
Drew.
His dad was a hell of a coach. Mm-hmm. Marty, going against him at times, you knew you're going to be in for a battle, okay? Especially on the offense going against a defense that he was coordinating. And being around Schottenheimer in the situations so far, I like the fire. I like the energy, he's going around clapping, he's cussing in the meetings and stuff like that. I don't necessarily condone cussing, but this is football, all right? Get out the choir, get out the dresses, let's talk some football. And so he's that kind of guy and motivates the guy. I watch them going through their practices. Nobody's walking around. Everybody's running from drill to drill. Everybody's excited. Everybody's clapping. Everybody's shouting. It's a great atmosphere, and that's what you got to have. Football's exciting. And I think, with the lack of success we've had in Dallas, we've lost that edge. We've lost the enjoyment, the excitement of football, the excitement of pro football, the excitement of Dallas Cowboy football. So I see that coming back, and I see that coming back to the addition of Schottenheimer. Plus, he's been there. He knows how it's been the last couple of years. So he wants to change all that. He knows what he's got to do to change that, to get them going in the right direction.
Well, they need you around that team more, and I'm glad they had you out there. I'm glad Shotty recognizes that. We love having you on. You inspire us, and I think we'll have more energy. I'll have more energy in this final hour just having had you on. So have a great. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate it, man. Have a great meeting and have a great afternoon. And we love having you on. And you're a Hall of Famer and always have been. And appreciate you being on the Matt Mosley Show.
Anytime, Matt. Call my name. I'll be there. Okay.
There they are. They're the Super Bowl rings. Drew Pearson.